Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday. It is January the 8th, and we are looking at the Metastock platform with Target Rich Trades, which is the trading strategy that I built here with the folks at Metastock. And so what I'd like to do is sort of go through what these charts are telling us on weekly and then daily formations so we can understand what's actually happening in the market right now. So first thing we'll look at is the ES. Taking a look at the weekly area, you can see the sell zone occurring at the beginning of October, breaking down into the space. Anytime we see a support diamond, it tells us that we are sitting near a profit zone. And the great thing about this particular system is that prior areas of support and resistance give us future target zones. And so we can see that if we see this area as resistance, this area as support, and we get something that gives us a buy zone, we pretty much know where it is that it's going to in the grand scheme of things. So right now, let's take a look at what's going on with the ES on the weekly. It's stopped heading lower. We've bounced. This is a time series moving average that we've got sitting right here. And it really is a great way to tell us what trend is looking like. And so we can see the trend has defined a little bit of a flattening action here, giving us a front region of support. I like that area to be really, I like to think that that area is somewhere around 25, 27 or so. And right now, we are jammed right up against resistance at 25.84. Our charts have been struggling against that area quite a bit. And as long as we don't go through it, chances are we will revisit these lower edges. That being said, there is a very big support action here. There was a buy zone action here. There was a motion to stop upward action right here. And so this tells us, hey, listen, this region is very, very important. So what happens in very important regions is that they will break out, bounce higher, and then pull back if they're going to hold in any kind of rhythm. And right now, that's really what we're struggling to find, whether that rhythm is going to hold or not. We are sitting in a bearish formation that may turn neutral in short order, and that really is what we're looking at. Especially if we end up going to the daily chart, we can see the chart really telling us, listen, here was a sell zone, here was my support. We always take some profit as support. As long as we don't break the resistance zones, we can stay in the trades. We've got ourselves a new buying pressure event. Yesterday, we had a resistance zone, and although we've headed higher, we are not breaking through it. My thought is any upward drift that's strong is likely to collide and reverse. And so I'm looking sort of for a volume exhaustion event that begins to fade and allows me to see what's happening in the chart overall, right? And I suspect that that is a move into frontline resistance. The tightest formation that I really like working with this particular strategy on is the 4-hour. It's very sensitive to motion on a big time frame, but when you move it into smaller time frames, that heightened sensitivity will whipsaw you around. And so you really don't want to use it on a very tight time frame actions, and everything is relative to motion. So what have we done? We're now underneath the region for the time series resistance. So that's telling me, listen, I've got support action. I obviously am in a bullish area, and I can see that I'm bullish on the 4-hour and the daily, but I'm only bullish into my resistance. I am not in a breakout formation because my overall drift is negative. And so we want to watch for that. If we move forward, let's say you decide you want to take this 25.75 to 25.78 area long, you really want to watch these edges to see how well they do. As long as you fail to break higher, it's telling you that sellers are coming into the mix. Right now, the buyers are holding steady, but I expect that right around here, we end up having ourselves a little bit of trouble. Okay, let's take a look next at the Nasdaq minis, right? And let's take a look at the weekly, same sort of formation, right? We're looking at a very nice sell zone. This region gave us a profit area up top here, old support, new resistance, continues to move down. This is still in a selling formation on the weekly behavior patterns, but we've already had something that says, hey, listen, this is a region that you've got to take some profit. And so this has already said, hey, I'm going to bounce into my resistance zone. The 66.31, it could be a bit lower than that, maybe 66.01. That region is very big because we can see it is clearly support action here, and then immediately breaks down old support, new resistance. Our formation is still bearish weekly. So even if we end up extending to the upside, we're going to bounce first and then pull back before heading higher. Taking a look at a closer formation, we can see that we triggered a buy 3 days ago after it retested this region, holding the support, getting us out of the selling pressure event, moving us into the buying zone, and then stalling right here in this formation. Now, what do we need to look for? Well, if we lose 64.83, which I think we went to 64.62 or something like that today, 64.67, this area we are range bound in, right? So we are going to be looking for the chart to either expand or contract. I know that that is a tough thing for you to look at as a trader and not want to go, well, which one is it? You have to let it do its thing and then follow suit, right? And you can look at the 4-hour chart as it comes in and you can see, listen, you've got resistance showing on the 4-hour. It's telling you, listen, your pullbacks, you're in a bullish formation. So your pullbacks are going to find buy zones, but your pushes into the upside are going to have trouble. And we can see that showing up right here. The red diamond takes us into a space that says, hey, listen, this is a resistance pocket for sure, right? Once we get up over that 65.85, we'll press and then pull back a little bit. If the pullback is shallow, we can move forward just so long as our environment stays bullish. Oops. Let's take a look at the Dow. So you can see how these things work. Again, nice sell zone. This chart has bounced. You know, a lot of folks see this volatility and they think to themselves, oh my goodness, it means that I need to be on a tighter time frame, when in fact, the better thing to do is to be on a very wide time frame where you can tell from the big picture what's happening with your charts. Resistance here, support here, support nearby in the same region. So we can essentially put it here, and now we've got selling action sitting around in this space. You know, this chart has been the weakest of the bunch in terms of whether it's moving well or not. So we're going to take a look at that. If it gets up and over 770, 780, that's going to give us a better shot. But again, it's not the breakout. It is the breakout and then the pullback and the hold of the level. And right now, this environment is still bearish on the week. On the day, we can see a lot more action moving in. This again is the 3rd day, but resistance showing up here. Now notice, here's resistance and then here's a higher low. As long as we hold this region right around here, 23,295, this chart has got upside pressure. So you might say, well, Anne-Marie, that's 500 points. Yes, it is. And if you're thinking about risk, then you're going to know that's what you're looking at from big daily time frames. If you go to 4-hour, you're going to see something a little bit better. But again, old resistance becoming support tells me I have upward pressure, but only into resistance areas. So I've got to break out and hold the region. If I do that and I work with this, I could probably have 35 to 50 ticks of risk, and I'll be in good shape to run the chart. Many of us are very addicted to super tight time frames and we get whipsawed around, when indeed the better thing to do is to look for where the chart is actually advancing and then act from a big picture perspective. All right, let's take a look now at oil. Everybody's looking at oil. The API is out this afternoon, and we can see a massive selling event right here at the last week of October. Support becomes resistance. We've got a breakdown that just absolutely collapses beautifully. We're still in a bearish undercurrent, but now we are above this very solid adaptive moving average, and it's telling us that this chart has formed a bottom. The problem is it cannot seem to get up over old support, and that is new resistance. This afternoon, the API could press it forward into this formation of resistance up ahead, but that remains to be seen. Let's take a look at the daily. We're going to see that our chart is really sitting clearly in a buy zone for several days, but really having trouble here. So what do we have to do? Could we break out dramatically and move all the way up to here? Yes, we could. Very much so. It's actually bullish. Do we want to gamble that way? Well, probability says that if that is support and I make a lower low, then that resistance tells me I should come back and test these midline areas as support. And so if we can't see them with the chart on the daily, perhaps we can see them on a 4-hour formation. And you can see it right here. It's a jagged edge. And so we'll look at the lower levels and we'll see new support area at around 48.94, and then another region really a bit further to the south. You're going to look at this resistance arrow, diamond, and hold yourself in check right there. That's how that looks. Overall, it's still bullish. It's moved through a neutral zone and now heading right back up into bigger time frames. This is really a very interesting chart. Following this trend line event, you can see that the bullish motion up into these areas has continued to hold, and on a very tight time frame, we're not seeing any real resistance in sight, but that could easily change, particularly if we head up into this region and cannot get up and over this adaptive time series moving average. All right, lastly, let's take a look at gold from this area. You can take a look. Gold has been in a bullish formation for a long time. Those of you that follow me know that I've been talking about gold being bullish for a long time. This was the first area to take some profit. It did not break the buy zone, so it's still active and still moving to the north. Having a little trouble here. Why? Well, this is heavy congestion and prior resistance. And so we are looking at areas anywhere between 1315 and 1300. We've hit that area twice and not crossed over it. If we take a look at the daily formation, we're going to see that our charts are doing the same sort of thing, coming up into the resistance zone and folding over, holding support regions. So until these support regions break, we really do not have a shot at anything but sideways pressure. This morning, the pullback into 1280 was a bounce zone. For those of you that have my blog, you'll know that we had that at the low level bounce to take long, but we are drifting off of these edges, right? And we are headed a bit lower. The green candles tell us that, or the green bars tell us that we are moving in a trending formation, and that is all we can look at, right? This is a very important level. It should hold, and we'll see how well it holds over time. Taking a look at the 4-hour, you can see that it's fairly messy. You can see all kinds of things, sell zones, and then a stop out, and then some more sell zones. When you start seeing something like this, what you notice is the following. You can take a line and draw it right through these candlesticks, and they will touch a majority of them. When you see that, you know that the chart is in a sideways messy formation, and it's just not good to trade with. All right, so bigger, always better, and you can always tell what's going on from how well it's holding these moving average spaces. All right, that's been the Target Rich trading event. Good luck, and I'll see you all next week. We're going to do these every single week. For those of you who already have this piece of software add-in, email me anytime, and super happy to help you. Take care.